Hey, can everybody hear me? Give a thumbs up, or you don't have to say anything if you can hear me. Um, it's okay to have your video off or on if you want that, and it's okay to be muted unless you want to be heard for something, or if you have a question. But also keep in mind that you can ask questions in the chat feature. So I'm going to show everybody where that's at first, and then I will introduce our facilitator for today. So on your window, you should see maybe yourself and or images of others. And then the very bottom of that window, you'll see a little bubble icon that says chat. If you click on that chat, it will open up a little window on the right that has something I already posted. I posted a link which will keep attendance for the conference call, and we ask you to fill it out before you wrap up the end of the meeting. It does ask like how it went, and so you don't want to do it right this second. You want to do it after the conversation. But you can kind of keep that there. That chat won't go away. And then if you have questions throughout and you don't want to like put your voice on and interrupt or anything like that, you can see that at the bottom, you can type a message and then you can send it. And you can choose to either send it to everyone if you think that it is something that everybody might want to know, or you can choose the little blue drop down and you can choose to send it just to me or to Kelsey, who will be moderating it. I'm Erica San Miguel. And our speaker for today is going to be Kelsey Ogg. And I can see people already posting. So if you came on after I posted, it might not be there, but don't worry, I'll post it again at the end of the meeting. So already can see the chat's working fine. Kelsey Ogg is going to be the one who's walking us through today's meeting. She's been at Crockett for the last 5 years. She's taught quite a lot in terms of English and Avid. She's also taught a humanities course, and she is part of the technology pathway that we have going on in EISD. So she has some more knowledge about tech tips and help, and that's why she's kind of leading our Zoom meeting. So again, if you just are coming in, go ahead and use chat if you have any questions, and I'll be the one moderating that. Otherwise, Kelsey's going to be the only voice in the meeting. So hi, Kelsey.
Yeah, no pressure. Hey, thank you. Thank you guys also for just being here. I know that this is optional for, I think, everyone. So I'm definitely appreciative that you're going to come spend some time in our chat today. So I want to share two things just to get us started. Kind of like a quick agenda, just so if you're curious, like what's going to be covered in our session, that might help kind of like guide us through. So I'm going to pop that into the chat. And if it doesn't work, please tell me. And then I also, for my own campus, I noticed that like a lot of my coworkers were asking the same questions over and over about Blend. So I made them like a super short and concise Google slideshow that just had like some of the things that I'm going to talk about in here, but then also like frequently asked questions that are super helpful with building in Blend. So if you want to look at either our agenda for today or that kind of quick start guide that I made, I'm going to put those here in the chat, and then I'll also share them again when we're done. So I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. And let's see. Okay, so kind of like we got like very little in direction about what they kind of wanted us to share about, but it was mostly like sharing our successes with what has worked for us in Blend and kind of like where we feel like the must-haves are and what our strengths are, kind of like content specific, but also at the high school level. I do want to say, like, if you are not used to working in Blend, I hope that you don't feel pressured to like make this huge transition in a very short time. Like I've been using Blend for years and it still is a little bit of a daunting task for me. I don't think that like Blend is supposed to be a purely online tool. Like it's called Blend so you can blend face to face with online. So this is also like a learning curve for me too, trying to make everything online. So it's kind of a learning process together. So a couple of things that I want to cover are transitioning, like how I am going to try to transition my own Blend course to make it as easy as we can for kids. Design, like people will tell you that looks don't matter. I think that they do in a way, because I feel like the easier and kind of more like clear and concise Blend pages look, the more kids will be wanting to explore them and kind of see what they're about. I also want to talk about student agency. Now more than ever, it's going to be super important for our kids to feel like they have some voice and choice in like how they're learning and what they're learning. So I have some ideas for how to incorporate that. And then I feel like a lot of people just have questions about like, what do I use? How do I use it? What's the best tool for this? So I have some of my favorite like blend features, and I also have some of my favorite like outside tools and resources. Um, so that's kind of where we're headed. If that sounds like it's up your alley, I'm glad that you're here. If you're like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, feel free to like ask questions in the chat too, and I can help kind of guide the conversation if you want something specific out of our session. So I guess we'll jump right in. For transitioning, the first thing that I did in my own course was I changed my homepage so that when kids land on it, it used to say like, welcome to English 3, here's kind of what we're gonna cover. But I actually changed it to more of like an informational page. So you'll find out that I love to embed GIFs in my pages. If you don't like GIFs, you don't have to add them. I just like, I don't know, they make me excited to look at a page. So on the landing page, we have some information from our campus about, we sent out a survey to kids that we really wanted them to fill out about like how they're doing health wise and wellness wise, and then what tools or resources they might need, anywhere from like Chromebooks, chargers, internet, food. So we wanted them to fill that out. I set up a remind because that's going to be an easy way to keep up with your kids. And then I kind of tried to let them know, like, most of our kids are just confused. They don't know if they're supposed to be learning. They don't know if they're not learning. So I kind of said, like, here's some stuff from that AISD page. Here's our library website. And then here's some other cool stuff that you can explore. Just so students, when they first get into Blend, they have some of that like crucial information. I also added like a parent section. If parents are logging into Blend with kind of a newsletter, they can add themselves to our remind group as well. And then I tried to make it really easy for them to email me with any questions. I created a Google Voice number. If you don't know how to use Google Voice, it's super easy, and it just basically protects your personal phone number so that you're not handing out your cell phone number to like hundreds of parents and kids. So I put that on there as well. The next thing that I tried to do is I actually removed all of these navigation buttons on this like left-hand side, just because in my experience, the more that kids have to click on, the more likely they are to get lost. So the only thing when a kid logs in that they're going to see is this home page, and then the only other thing they're going to be able to click on is my module page. That will keep them from getting into any weird, like, maybe they just, I don't know, kids do all kinds of crazy stuff. So I feel like the less choices they have, like the better off they are. So I went through and removed those, and that's just under your settings tab. I don't know how familiar we are with Blend, but under settings, if you go to navigation, you just drag and drop. So if I wanted to add things, I could add them. But I just kept home and modules. Very clean and very easy for them to see. And then I actually also went through and unpublished all of my previous modules. Like the only thing that they're going to be able to see is the new stuff that we create for distance learning. And then we're also going to be pushing out some opportunities for grade recovery. So that's it. When they get into my page, everything we've done before this is going to be unpublished, just to keep it like really easy and empty and plain. So if you want to do that as well, I mean, I just know my kids are curious and they're easily misled and lost. So that's all that I have on mine. Let's see. I'm not looking at the chat. I don't know if people are asking questions. Another thing that I do to try to make life a little bit easier, like organization wise, is I try to use like buttons. And all you do to create a button, you can create it with like clip art, you can create it on Canva, but you just drop it into your page and then you can link it to other things. And just like with real websites, I feel like we use buttons when we go to real websites. So I figured we might as well use buttons like here as well. So like this is one of our grade recovery pages, and these buttons will take them to new pages or resources or websites. It keeps it from your page looking really cluttered. And that way it looks nice, and it also is like functional for the kid as well. So I think that I feel like I'm talking really fast, but I want to try to like squeeze it all in and honor everyone's time. You can set requirements for your module. I've played around with the idea of that, but I haven't quite decided what I want to do. So like when you're looking at your module view, you can go over here and you can go to edit and you can set requirements. So like some pages, a kid has to open it and view the page before other things will unlock. Or you can set it to where the kid has to open the page, mark that they've done it, and then the rest will unlock. And you can add all kinds of requirements for like quizzes that they have to score at least an 80 before they can move on, or they have to contribute to the discussion before they can try the test. So I know that some teachers are really utilizing that to keep kids moving in the way that we want them to move. You can force it to be in sequential order, like chronologically, so that way kids aren't skipping way ahead. Again, like there's some pros and cons with setting those, but if you're interested in kind of keeping that control a little bit, that might help like do some scaffolding. You know, if a kid has to score at least a 70 before they can go on, that kind of ensures that they're really getting the content. So again, I'm still kind of playing around with that too. But you know, design. So this is like, the goal is like when your kids are using the computer, when we're in this weird isolation, like you want them to still feel like they're in your class. If you're not like a very, like mine is filled with like gifs and pretty buttons. If you're not that way, like you don't have to feel like your blend page has to be that way. Like I know some teachers that are very like minimalist in class and their blend page is very minimalist, but that's what kind of reflects their personality and their teaching style. So like I said, if you are someone that is like a beginner to blend, you do not have to feel pressured to like have this super intricate, immaculate, like gorgeous blend course. And if that's not your personality, like that's okay too. So definitely don't be intimidated by how other courses look. I think that clean and consistent is kind of the way to go, with like consistent colors or like the way that your pages are lined out. So like all of my pages, I'm trying to keep them looking the same. So I'll usually have like an image here, I'll have like title at the top, and then I'll have like the main things in highlighted with like orange, to just make it really clear what we're doing. And then I'll have like important stuff underneath. And I just feel like the more consistency we can give kids, the better. So here's like an assignment. Maybe it's here. Let's see. So here's a picture, here's our title, and then kind of here's it really like broken down for the kids. Like here's your task, here are the resources you need to complete it, and then here's how you're going to submit. And like every page that I'm going to build is going to follow kind of the same structure. I mean, this is kind of wordy, but for the sake of keeping it in one place. And then I'm also trying to make sure I include like this little home button will take them to a resource page, and then this little email button I'm putting at the bottom of every page, and it's linked directly to my email. So if a kid is looking at these instructions and they have a question, it's super easy for them just to click this, send me an email, and that way we can kind of keep some communication open. But that's, I mean, I guess that's like as far as I've gotten so far. Kind of just like I'm thinking of when these kids are getting into Blend for the first time and now they're totally online with 8 different courses, like how can we make it as easy as we can for them to like navigate that? And for me, I feel like the less options I have, the better. And also like I can usually tell when I open a web page if I'm gonna like it or not. Like we've all probably opened a web page at some point that looks very like spammy or scammy, and we're like, eh. So I think kind of like if we design with kids in mind, like when a kid opens this page, is it going to be one giant block of text that they're going to say like, nah, and then close out? or is there a way that we can make it kind of accessible and interesting to them, just even at a first glance? Like, I think that that's going to be our best bet for now. So, content specific stuff. In this quick start guide, like this little slideshow that I shared in the chat, this is what I made for my campus, but I'll share it with you guys too. This is basically like how I'm feeling, even though I love technology. You know, I feel like we're in a very weird time. So a couple of things I have tried and had success with before in terms of student choice is timelines are kind of a super cool thing to use. So in this slideshow, if you click on, like, I love buttons. If you click on this picture, it'll actually take you to a link of the document so you can see it and edit it if you like it. But the good thing about this is that, like, you can keep it all on one blend page. So the kid will just go back to the same blend page every day. But then they can work through like these different tasks, and it encourages them to do it chronologically. What I like about this is that it tells them, like, one, it's easy to see, and two, you can like add these cool pictures in the left-hand column so that kids know kind of like what they're going to be expected to do. Like, if I'm a kid and I see this document, I see my little YouTube icon and I'm like, oh cool, I just have to watch a video. It kind of helps guide them in terms of like expectations. If kids realize that it only take them like a couple minutes to do something, they're kind of more likely to do it. So it'll tell you what skill you can be expecting to do. It'll give you the directions. In the note section, it's hard to see in the screenshot, but I try to tell them if it's face-to-face, if it's online, if it's independent or in a group. That way they can be like, oh, I just have to watch a video on my own, or like, oh, I need to think about this, but I'm going to be doing it in a small group. So just really kind of giving them those like parameters up front, I think can help encourage kids to do it. And then what I like about this too is you can build in like these stop points. So if a kid wants to race through these first three all in one day, that's awesome. But then you kind of build in this like, hey, now that you're done, check in with me and like, let's make sure that you did it right, or that you're on the right page, or I can give you some feedback. So kids have some choice in the pace that they work, but you're also not making it a total free-for-all. Like, you can build in kind of checkpoints like after the formative work or after like a certain part of the project. And this could be like a Zoom conference, like, hey, before you move on, Zoom conference me, or like email me so that we can talk about the work you've done so far. So that's one option for kind of like a little bit of agency and the pace that they work, gives them a little bit of freedom, but still kind of pulls the reins in so that they're checking in with you periodically. Some other things I've tried, a choice board, which is kind of like freedom over like the order that you work in and also the pace that you work in. So this is one that I made for Avid. Normally it would say Wicker at the top. I changed it to say COVID, like just as a funny joke. So it's collaboration, organization, video, instruction, and discussion instead of like the normal Wicker acronym. And then each one just gives them like something to do. And I tried to make it a balance of like Avid work and also not Avid work. A lot of this is just like talk to somebody, like cook a meal with a parent, play a board game, like go on a scavenger hunt, meditate. So I think it's really important too for us to keep that in mind. Like, a lot of our kids need a little bit of relief. So kind of keeping reasonable expectations, at least at the beginning. I mean, these first few weeks, I feel like are going to be a very weird test. So I think kind of giving them some grace, making it seem fun, so that they're more willing to kind of come back. If we really bog down these kids, like, there's a good chance we're just going to kind of turn them off to the idea. So I tried to make it kind of fun, have some fun options in there. There are some ways to connect with me, connect with other kids. So if you're interested in that, and I told them to choose like 2 activities per week or something, or 3 activities per week. My campus is doing about 60 minutes of instruction per class. So I figured each of these is like a 10 to 15 minute activity. So that way they can kind of decide what they feel like doing that day. Maybe they're feeling like really outgoing and they want to do a lot of collaboration, maybe they're feeling really tired and they just want to watch some videos, it just gives them kind of that chance to do it. Playlist is kind of the same thing. They get some choices. You can make them work through it chronologically. You can tell them to do whatever order they want. When I did it in class, we would usually choose one to do together. So I'd give them the playlist and I would say, like, look it over. Let's decide as a class which one we want to do all together. It was usually like the one that was the hardest or took the most work. We would do it together and then I would send them off to do like one more on their own. And again, it just tells them what the skill is going to be. This one is set up as a think, do, and like submit. So it gives them some questions to consider, to kind of like stimulate their brain. It gives them what they're actually going to go do, like watch a video, read the article, and then it tells them specifically what they're going to submit as like an artifact for that activity. And again, if you want to click on the picture, it will take you to the actual document so that you can see it too. Hopefully I have it set right so that you like make a copy before you start editing it or changing anything, but you know, I guess worse things could happen. So all of those are available to you guys if you want to use them or if you're interested in them. I just feel like, and choice is great. We want to give kids choice. Don't feel like you have to do all the choices for every assignment. Like maybe you just change like the output. Like, hey, we're all going to read this article, but you can do a one-pager, you can do a verbal report, you can write an essay. Or sometimes it's like changing the input. Like we're all going to need to learn about the Crucible. You know, you can watch a video, you can read the Spark Notes. So don't feel like you have to just make it a total like everybody can choose exactly what they do, when they do it, how they do it, because that can be a burden on the teacher too. So kind of be selective in where you give choice. And sometimes too many choices can also overwhelm kids. We think that the more choice kids have, the happier they'll be. But I think most of us probably know those students that are like, just tell me what to do and I will do it. So, you know, choice is great if that works for your kids, but I would say be mindful about how much choice you offer and kind of like when you offer it. I also want to say like direct teach is not bad. I feel like there's this misconception that we're not allowed to direct teach anymore. I would just say like, again, decide like when you want to direct teach and kind of try to keep it short and concise and then let kids kind of take control from there if you can. Again, don't know how it's going to work. Haven't done it yet. Erica has a question.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I was like, the hand gesture is a good
Oh,
signal.
I don't see it. I'm on my screen.
So one thing I was thinking too is even just rather than doing live lectures is thinking about like recording yourself as often as possible. That also gives kids opportunities to like rewind and hear it again or slow it down or whatever, see the transcript. But I'm also moderating the chat. I've had a few people ask me things privately, and then one person asked something that I asked if I could share with everybody because I think it might be a question that everybody has. And so they were looking at advice for how to give kids opportunities to connect with each other so that, you know, it's not just, you know, the oracy part of listening and speaking is not just with the teacher all the time, but how can they connect to discuss something in a way that maybe the teacher can also monitor. So wanted to see if you have any suggestions for that.
Yeah, thanks. I don't know why I can't see the chat anymore. Maybe because I'm on my screen.
Probably.
Thank you for stopping me. Ways that I've had kids connect with each other. I like the blend discussion. I feel like it's good. It's very like social media like. They're used to leaving comments and replying to each other. And you still have like oversight on that because it's in your course. Another thing that I've used pretty successfully is Flipgrid. If you haven't used Flipgrid yet, like you should jump on that train. It was a little weird the first time we did it. Kids were like, oh, my face. I don't want anyone to see me. What if they make fun of me? But by the second or third time we did it, they were like, oh, yeah, this thing again. I'll just go record my 30-second video and like move on. And what I like about Flipgrid is that they get to see each other and they can leave comments on the video. So like I can record a minute-long video of me talking about act one of the play, and then another kid can respond to my video with comments, questions, feedback. In Avid, we're kind of doing that with like tutorials, as a kid's going to pose the question that they're confused about, and then kids will respond to them with like questions probing a little bit deeper. So it's kind of face-to-face-ish. They get to see the face of the kid, and they kind of get to talk to each other. But I don't know, other than like those two, I haven't done a lot of, usually when we collaborate, it's actually face-to-face. So yeah, we'll see. I hope that clarifies or maybe gives some ideas.
So Dylan was also posting, I'm sure people can see this too, that there's a way in Zoom to do breakout rooms.
Yeah.
So that might be something you consider. And then I know in the courses we're developing right now, or the exemplar modules, we're looking at being a little bit creative with how they can discuss. So, I mean, maybe it's even like call a friend from the class or email a friend and CC me on it, or, you know, things like that. I know that's not exactly the same as speaking out loud. And yes, there's things you can do in the discussion board, but we're just trying to give them a lot of variety in the ways that they can interact with each other.
And Dylan, I haven't tried the breakout rooms yet. I know I've read that you can still like pop into the breakout rooms, like as the moderator. So it would be interesting to try it. And then I know with Remind, like Remind offers a setting where I think it defaults to where like kids can only respond to the teacher and they can't see each other. But I think you can change it to where anybody can respond to anybody. So that could be like, I mean, a very horrific like group chat, which I would have to find a way to like turn off the notifications for. But again, like that would be an easy way to kind of like get that feeling of like, I'm getting to text my friends in like a classroom kind of setting. So again, haven't tried that yet, but something that I'm kind of interested in, unless it gets wildly out of hand, which yeah, it might. Let's see. I don't know. Oh, I mean, some of my, let's see, I'm trying to move around. I don't know what we can see and what we can't see. Some of my must-haves, like, I want to preface this by saying I still do a lot of Googling. If you didn't know, Blend is basically just Canvas, like renamed. So Canvas has already like a ton of pages with like frequently asked questions. So any question that you have for Blend, if you just change Blend to Canvas, like, hey, how do I change the font in Canvas? Or like, how do I invite parents into Canvas? You can usually find like a pretty good guide online for that. Also, like emailing people. I still email lots of questions to Sarah Dilly, who's like our campus, I don't know, tech design. I don't know what the right word is, but she's awesome. There's probably other people on your campus that have done stuff in Blend, so don't be afraid to ask or Google it. Some of my favorite things to do when I was trying to think like, what could I not live without? Like, what do I need to know to like be successful in Blend? I would say screenshots and Screencastify are like game changers. If you haven't done Screencastify, super easy. It's like a Google plugin. It basically allows you to record your screen and then video over it. And then when you're done, it just puts the video into your Google Drive, and then it gives you like a embed code that you can just put into Blend. And I like to use the screencast to explain like complex pages. Like when I find myself repeating something a lot in class, I'll like be going kid to kid, like, okay, now you click here, then you go here, then you drag down, then you go here. And when I realize that I've explained it like 10 times, I'm like, I could just make this into a video. And then like Erica was saying, kids can pause it, they can rewind it, they can watch it again. So kind of like any tool that I'm using that is new to kids maybe, or if I'm going to ask them to submit an assignment a really specific way, Screencastify is good for that. Also just posting screenshots of like, here's how you do this, especially with like sharing Google Docs. Kids want to share the link at the top of their page, and I'm like, that's not the right one. So I would say like those two things kind of help a lot in like getting kids to know what is going on. Inserting URL links, hopefully. I don't know if people know how to do that, like making a picture link to a page, or like instead of having the super long link, you can just link it to a word. So instead of like having a long link, you can just highlight the word and then do like insert link. And that way you just click the word and it takes you there. Embedding Google Docs or Google Slides I still show a slideshow in my class, just because that's easier for me to like not have all my instructions in Blend, but then I'll put the slideshow into Blend so that if kids were absent, they can kind of go through the slideshow and be like, oh, here's what I missed that day. I love GIFs. I love buttons. I've had people ask me where I get the stuff that I put into Blend. I use Canva. I mean, like, it's super easy. Like, I made some buttons earlier, but they make these really nice, like, sleek designs that you can easily change or customize to make like banners, buttons, borders, like whatever. And then you just save them as a picture and drop them in there. So I would say, like, if you want some fancy graphic design stuff, you can use Canva for that. And then here's like some of my favorite tools. Flipgrid, super cool. Kids like it. Poll Everywhere is kind of fun too, just to get a sense of like how kids are doing. Quizlet Live, which I don't know how that would work not together. Something that I'm still interested in figuring out. Screencastify. You can also just do audio recordings in Blend. Like, a lot of times I'll give my kids the option to write the response or just tell me their response. And in the Blend, when you create an assignment, there's an option to just have it be like a media recording. And then when they go to that page, it says, like, do you want to upload media from your phone, or do you want to record it right now on your Chromebook? And that's super cool, because I'll be like, hey, discuss this chapter that we just read. Some kids will want to write it, but some kids will just sit there and like blabber on, and they just hit record, they say what they need to say, and they submit it. And it's kind of fun for kids to feel like they don't have to do the writing part. I don't always give them that choice, because we need to be working on our writing, but that's an easy feature in Blend to give them some like opportunity, especially if we're trying to like help our English language learners, give them some sentence stems, you know, have them record a little bit. And it's just a good change of pace. Let's see. I see a question. Would it be better to create auto recording assignments in our sandboxes so we can use them again for next year? I don't actually use my sandbox. All your courses that you create are always going to be available like the year after, at least from my understanding. Like, I've pulled a lot of stuff in for my courses from last year. So I don't know, Erica, you might know more than I do. Yeah, I don't know. I always just build stuff in my real Blend course and like hope that it doesn't suck. So it's just easier for me that way. So I don't know that much about sandboxing. There we go. Can you individualize assignments? Oops, I lost it. Assignments for certain students on Blend. You can, yeah. At the bottom, when you create an assignment, so like if I was gonna go through and edit this assignment here, it says like assignment group, you can create a new group to assign it to, or I think you can even say it's only assigned. So here where it says assign to everyone, you can do like certain courses, or you can assign like, I'm just gonna assign this to this kid. Oh, I hope it's okay if I show this. So yeah, you can assign it to, like, if you only want your fourth period to do it, you can assign it just to them. Or if you just need like, hey, these 10 kids are really struggling on like this quiz, I'm gonna assign them like some intervention work. Or on the flip side, extension stuff, like, oh, these kids are like blowing through all my curriculum. I'm gonna assign them some like enrichment pages or something. So that's an option that you have. You can also like lock the assignment. You can add other, like, who you're gonna assign it to. So I hope that I lost some questions. I mean, that's kind of like,
I think
are super cool, and then Canva is super cool, but I know we have about 10 minutes. I just feel like most teachers just have lots of questions. So if anybody has questions that maybe I can answer, you can unmute yourself, I guess, or you can pose it in the chat. I'll stop sharing my screen so you can see each other. Oh, look, hi everyone.
While you're typing or wanting to say something, one person who privately messaged was asking about other ways to screencast, because Screencastify has a a premium version that allows you to record more than 5 minutes. Otherwise, you're limited to 5. But there are a lot out there, like Screencast-O-Matic is something I've used before. You're only allowed to hold a certain amount of videos at a time, and then it'll delete. But you can upload them to like YouTube and make them private. So once they're uploaded, you don't really need to have them in their particular bank. But you can also use Blend directly to record yourself, and to give instructions that way too. And one of the questions right now is asking about how to encourage shy or nervous students to record themselves.
So I have lots of shy and nervous students. The main course I teach is English 3 for kids that haven't passed their STAR test, which is usually kids that don't particularly love school, or kids that have behavior problems or like English language learner problems. What I've done in the past to try to get them to record is kind of like baby step it for them. Like I'll tell them, you don't have to show your face. In the past, I've been like, you can get up to an A if you don't show your face, but if you want like that 100, you need to show your face. Or Flipgrid has like lots of emojis and stickers or filters, and kids will be like, is it okay if I put a sticker over my face? And I'm like, that's fine. Or like there's a filter that kind of like pixelates so you can kind of see. But I mean, the main thing that we're trying to do is get kids to like be comfortable speaking academically. So those are some things I've tried to do to like help with the whole, like, I don't want to see myself. And also like tons of sentence stems. Like I love a good sentence stem. And it helps like kids feel like they're not going to sound dumb. Like if the teacher gave me this frame and I fill in the blanks, like I'm going to sound smart, or I'm at least going to sound like everyone else in the class. Everyone's using the same frame. So like those have been really helpful in terms of like making kids feel more comfortable speaking. If anybody has other ideas, I want to know too, because I still have kids that are not super comfortable. Let's see. Oh yeah, thanks for reposting my link there. Other questions? Like again, I don't know what all I was supposed to cover. I know this isn't very content specific. Yeah.
So I wanted to say a couple things. First, this is being recorded. And so the benefit of that is that anybody who wasn't able to be in this, or who has other teachers that they think it would benefit from, seeing this, or even myself, like, what was it that she mentioned? You can go back and watch, rewind, pause, that kind of thing. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to host them at that point. That's going to be something that it might be sent in an email or a link to a Google, video or something like that. But that will be coming. You will be able to access this recorded seminar.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know. Again, like it's something that I'm going to be exploring too. I have some pre-created modules if anyone like wants some module help. I don't know how to share. I mean, I know how to share those like to people directly. But yeah, I don't know.
So what I hear you saying, and there looks like there's some excitement around that, is that you're willing to kind of maybe invite people to your teacher course that shows how you set that up.
Yeah, I mean, like I just want to help people. So and I don't always like know the best way to share content. I know you can share content directly to an email address. I know you can add people to a course. I just don't know like the best way to do that. I guess if people are interested, like send me an email. Because I don't want to send it like to everyone and then people are like, I don't want this. Which is cool too. So
just either email or you post on here your email address. Okay. And I would also, Kelsey, for you, probably make sure you add them as a student so they can see student view, but they can't edit or anything in your own course that you've created.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so there's my email. And I'm here to answer questions too. I know we have people that's their role, but I know sometimes people like to talk like directly to a teacher in that classroom, so they know like a real teacher has actually used this in a classroom, and like here's what they can tell me about what worked and what didn't work. I have plenty of stories of stuff that didn't work too, so if you have questions about ideas, I can maybe like say, yes, that was a big hit in my class, or like, no, it was a train wreck, but here's like how you might be able to fix it and make it better. Not everything is going to work, And I think an important thing to remember in the distance learning is like give yourself lots and lots and lots of grace. And I don't want to say set low expectations, but I would say like reasonable expectations for your kids. Start slow, like for yourself and for them. Establish some really good norms, like establish a routine for how things are going to look. The first thing, I'm going to share my screen one more time, if I can find where it was. The first thing that I did in my modules that I'm just going to have kids kind of preview is I created like a navigation guide for them that says like, hey, here's our new version of Blend. It's going to look a little different. And then I tried to just give them like some parameters. Like we're going to spend about an hour of time per week. Things are going to be published by 9 a.m. on Monday. They're going to be due by 5 p.m. on Friday. I don't actually know if that's how it's going to work yet. Our campus is still kind of talking about it. I said like I'm going to try to highlight important stuff because I know some kids just skim. And then I gave them some like directional, like click the home to get to the resource page, click the email to email me. And then we'll be working on some office hours. So just so that kids, and then kids have to like view this page before they can actually even enter into the content. So kind of just like I said, easing them into it. It's going to look different for them. And if you think about like 8 different teachers setting up 8 different courses, it's going to be a wild ride for our kids. So start slow, start with empathy. Yeah. Awesome. Somebody said that this was helpful. Thank you for saying that. The biggest compliment I ever got from someone was like, that was not a waste of my time. And I was like, from a teacher, like that is the nicest thing that someone can say about PD. So yeah, I appreciate it. And if you have questions that are like me questions and not we questions, I'm definitely here. Either we can stay like after the call or you can send me an email. So thank you guys.
Yeah, seeing a lot of really positive feedback from it. So again, I'll post my email in there as well. And that way, if anybody has questions for me directly, you know how to access me. Kelsey posted hers. I also just wanted to remind you that we do have that attendance link in here. So if you haven't filled that out, just make sure right before you leave, you click on that. It's like, it'll take you probably half a minute or a minute at most. And if you have other questions, even after the session, you can, of course, email us. And we also want to thank Kelsey because she put a lot of work and time into this to make it really helpful. And I would say that I want to just like copy almost everything that you did because it's very streamlined, it was concise, and I think that's really going to help a lot of teachers who are trying to figure out how to do this for the first time.
Thanks. Yeah. And I'm happy to share too, like if you liked my landing page or if you liked the navigation page, like all that stuff, just send me your email and like literally it will just send that page the way it is directly to your blend, and then you can edit it and like obviously put in your own information. But yeah, I just want to make everyone's lives easier, and I'm trying to do it for myself too. So don't feel hesitant to reach out.
Awesome. Did everybody see the attendance link posted? It should be the newest thing up there because I'm getting a few questions about it, just making sure. And there might be a lot of people in there, so it might be a little bit delayed. Sorry about that. But other than that, thank you everybody for joining. Again, this is an optional thing. We really appreciate it. And as soon as we have the recording all ready to go, we'll send that out to you and you can send it to your teachers too.
Cool. All right.
Hi, everyone.
Bye, everybody.